Lee, a dedicated soldier, happily salutes his senior and goes on leave. But before he can reach his girlfriend, Kang, and receive her gift, he is abruptly woken up. Turns out, it was just a sweet dream. A fellow soldier wakes him up because his duty has already started. As everyone gets ready and heads out, Lee secretly calls Kang and asks her who answered her phone last night. Kang, who had been heavily drunk, explains that it was her manager. Just as she says this, she suddenly starts vomiting. Meanwhile, Lee gets caught by his seniors for using his phone, which is strictly prohibited. Adding to the trouble, his colleague had also fallen asleep during duty. As punishment, the entire team is ordered to run 100 laps around the helipad. After finishing the grueling punishment, Lee tries calling Kang again, but she doesn't answer. At that moment, a senior officer arrives and asks if anyone knows how to cook. Lee volunteers and follows him to the kitchen. While heading there, he notices something disturbing from a window in another building. Patients are acting strangely, behaving aggressively with each other in a way that's far from normal. Once in the kitchen, Lee secretly borrows a phone from a chef and calls Kang again. Without giving her a chance to respond, he starts rambling on. Meanwhile, Kang is in her office cafeteria, where people are gossiping about her boyfriend. Frustrated, she leaves. Later that night, Lee calls her again, but this time, Kang answers angrily. She tells him she wants a break. Lee initially thinks she's just annoyed by his frequent calls, but Kang clarifies. She genuinely wants to break up. She points out that he won't be able to marry for 2 years and wonders what will happen to their relationship in that time. Her voice carries sadness, and all Lee can reply is, "Whatever you like." Still heartbroken, Kang goes out with her manager to a restaurant. As they talk, she keeps ignoring Lee's calls. Then she receives a voice message from an unknown number. In the restroom, she listens to it. It's from Lee. In the message, he admits he had been selfish, thinking only about his sadness. He tells her she deserves to live her life freely and that she will be happier without him. He ends by saying, "Let's break up now." Hearing this, Kang is devastated. She immediately tries calling Lee, but he doesn't answer. As Kang steps out with her manager, he suddenly confesses his feelings. "I will never leave you," he says, but before Kang can react, disaster strikes. A person crashes into their car, shattering the windshield. The impact is so severe that one of his eyes pops out, landing right on Kang's neck. Horrified, she screams, barely able to process what just happened. Strangely, despite his gruesome injuries, the man is still alive. Kang urges the manager to help, but he remains frozen in shock. Desperate, she runs out to seek help and spots a famous actor, Young. He steps in to assist, and together they manage to pull the injured man out of the wreck. The man is barely breathing, so Young attempts CPR, but blood spews from the victim's mouth, forcing him to back away. Just as they check on the manager, Kang notices an out-of-control truck speeding toward them. They brace for impact, but at the last moment, the truck swerves and crashes into a nearby store, causing massive destruction and killing many people. Meanwhile, in a conference room, Lee and his team notice a plane heading directly toward their building. Expecting a catastrophic crash, they panic, but just before impact, the plane veers off and slams into the road below, resulting in a massive explosion. Countless lives are lost. Lee insists they must go help the victims, and the sergeant agrees. Lee, his team, and the hotel manager take the elevator down, but when they step out, they witness pure chaos. The streets are filled with people attacking and biting each other, their bodies burning in unnatural ways. Then, out of nowhere, a bloodied, grotesque figure approaches the elevator. It finally clicks. These aren't just violent people. They're zombies. But how? Lee feels like he's in a nightmare. Suddenly, a half-bodied corpse crawls toward him, ready to attack. He dodges it, but another zombie lunges at him. Thinking fast, he and his team use a lighter and an oil spray to set the creature on fire. At that moment, the hotel manager receives a distress call from a staff member. The situation is the same everywhere. Zombies have overrun the entire building. Meanwhile, back with Kang, the injured man she had helped suddenly turns into a zombie before her eyes. It confirms her worst fear. A full-scale zombie outbreak has begun. She rushes into a nearby salon and calls her mother, pleading with her to stay home. Then she tries calling Lee, but his phone is switched off. Frustrated, she leaves him a voice message urging him to contact her as soon as possible. Lee and his partner, now running for their lives, reach the 75th floor and attempt to enter a room. The woman inside refuses to let them in, fearing they might be infected. Lee desperately convinces her that they're still human, and she finally opens the door. Elsewhere, the remaining soldiers prepare themselves for an intense battle against the zombies. The story shifts back to Kang's manager, who is wandering the streets in a daze. A man suddenly ambushes him, knocking him on the head and attempting to steal his phone and expensive watch. Just as the thief is about to escape, Kang arrives. Seeing her, the thief panics and runs away. Kang tells her manager that she needs to get to the tower where Lee is, but he protests. "Look around! The city is in ruins! How can we possibly go there?" Ignoring him, she turns to the salon lady and asks if she wants to come along. The lady declines, preferring to stay in the salon. As Kang follows her manager, she fails to notice the zombies sneaking up behind the salon lady. Back in the room, Lee tries calling someone, but the woman informs him that the phone doesn't work. However, another working phone is out on the counter. The problem? That counter is in zombie territory. Knowing he must contact his battalion, Lee decides to risk it. As they reach the counter, a zombie appears. Before it can attack, Lee quickly sprays it with oil and torches it with a heater. Just then, they notice a chef struggling to keep a door shut. Behind it, an army of zombies is ready to break through. Thinking fast, Lee lights a beer bottle and throws it at the door, hoping to slow them down. The chef, realizing the situation is hopeless, joins them in their escape. But their problems don't end there. The fire sets off the hotel's emergency sprinkler system, dousing the flames and allowing the zombies to resume their pursuit. Desperate to escape, they rush behind a locked gate, leading to a stairwell. They can go up to safety, but there's another problem. The chef is beginning to act strange, showing signs of infection. Meanwhile, Kang and her manager reach a police station, only to find that officers and hunters are raiding the place for weapons to fight off the zombie invasion. The battle for survival has only just begun. People were in shock when zombies started pouring out of the police station, with hunters firing at them from behind. Gunfire echoed all around. In the chaos, Kang and his partner ran for cover, dodging bullets and stumbling into a shop. While catching their breath, Kang noticed a music tape, and despite there being no shopkeeper, he placed money on the counter as payment. The manager, puzzled, asked Kang why he wanted the tape. Kang smiled and said, "It's for Lee. He loves this music." That's when the scene flashed back to the past. Back then, Lee and Kang worked together at an ice cream bar, and Lee was always listening to this very music. The memory was bittersweet. Meanwhile, soldiers were stationed on the rooftop of a building. Down below, Lee, his partner, a chef, and a woman named Sujan were trying to reach them. The rooftop soldiers had sealed the staircase, but when they finally opened the door, Lee's friend yelled, "Come on, Lee! The door's open!" Lee and the others rushed up, but Lee was still thinking about Kang. As soon as they reached the top, the senior officer scolded Lee's friend for bringing civilians up. "This is against protocol," he snapped. But the friend pleaded, "Sir, rules don't matter right now. The situation is out of control. Just let me call my family." Before the argument could continue, a loud crashing sound rang out. Zombies had broken through the lower gate and were rushing upstairs. Lee and his friend yelled, "They're coming!" But the senior officer scoffed, "You think I'm an idiot? Zombies can't climb." Before he could finish, they slammed the door shut just in time. Sujan turned to the senior officer and said, "Do you really think we'd joke about something like this? Look at our clothes. We barely made it up here alive. As she spoke, the chef suddenly collapsed. But when he got back up, his eyes were dead. He had turned into a zombie. Without warning, he lunged at a nearby soldier, biting him. Lee's friend grabbed the nearest object, a knife, and stabbed the chef in the head, killing him instantly. But instead of praise, the senior officer was furious. "You just killed an innocent man!" he roared. Then another soldier, badly bitten, started shaking uncontrollably. Sujan, knowing first aid, rushed to help him, but his condition was deteriorating fast. A tense meeting followed, with Lee and his friend pleading with their seniors. "Please, at least let us call our families," they begged. This time, the seniors agreed. Phones were handed out, and when Lee checked his, he found countless messages from Kang. Lee tried calling him back, but there was no network. Frustrated, he sighed as his friend comforted him. Meanwhile, Kang and his group were still trying to survive. A famous actor, Young, admitted, "I'm not even from this city. I was just staying at a hotel." "Wait, which hotel?" Kang asked. Young pointed. "That one, top floor." That was the same hotel where Lee and the soldiers were. Then Young pulled out a photo, and to Kang's surprise, Lee was in it. He burst out laughing. "Man, Lee looks so ridiculous in this picture." But then he suddenly grew quiet. Checking his phone, Kang saw all of Lee's messages. "Stay safe. Send me your location. I'll come get you." Heart-pounding, Kang tried calling Lee, but the network was still bad. Turning to the group, he said, "Lee is alive. I have to go to him." Young stretched and said, "Fine, I'll go too. My car's at that hotel. Might as well get it." Just as they stepped out, Kang suddenly tripped. The manager laughed. "How do you even trip on a flat road?" Kang looked down. His shoelaces were untied. His heart ached as he remembered. It was Lee who had once taught him how to tie them. Back at the rooftop, the soldiers were confused. Why did the chef turn into a zombie so fast, but the bitten soldier is still normal? Before they could figure it out, loud banging came from the door. A zombie was outside. One of the soldiers, unaware of the danger, went to check and got bitten instantly. Shots were fired, but the zombie kept coming back. Sujan grabbed a gun and shot it dead. A perfect shot. But instead of praise, she got scolded. "Civilians aren't allowed to use guns. I'm a national-level firearms champion," she snapped. "In this situation, I should have a gun." Meanwhile, Kang was still lost in memories. Back in college, everyone adored Kang. Lee didn't get why. "What's so special about her?" he once asked his friend. The friend chuckled. "She's into you." "Yeah, right," Lee scoffed. Little did he know, Kang was standing behind him, listening. Furious, she stormed off. Later, Lee started a job at an ice cream bar. His senior trainer? None other than Kang. Awkward. She made him work hard, but eventually they grew close. One day, she bought matching gloves for everyone, except Lee. "The shop ran out," she lied. In reality, she had bought something special for him, a muffler. But when she gifted it, Lee rudely refused it. Hurt, Kang stormed off. Later that day, Kang was venting to a friend over the phone, unaware that Lee was right behind her, listening. The next day, they argued. Kang snapped, "You insulted me first," Lee smirked. "All right, we're even now." Over time, Kang started falling for him. One day, she got into a fight with her manager and stormed out crying. Lee followed, offering his jacket. She threw it back at him and walked ahead, only to trip over her untied shoelaces. That was the moment Lee knelt down and taught her how to tie them. Back in the present, Kang was jolted from his memories by a man begging for help. He had a zombie bite on his leg. The manager immediately refused. "He's infected! We can't help him!" But Kang's kind heart couldn't turn away. Just as they helped him up, zombies came swarming. They ran into a restaurant, tying the bitten man up just in case. As they rested, Young noticed something strange. That zombie didn't attack him. Why? Checking the man's breath, he laughed. "Oh, he's drunk, really drunk." Young suddenly had a wild idea. "Alcohol might protect us from zombies. Let's all drink." Kang hesitated but took a sip. His mind drifted back to his father's funeral. Lee had been there, comforting everyone. At the end, Kang had given Lee her father's lighter. He never smoked, but he always kept this. "Now I want you to keep it." Lee, amused, pretended to smoke. Kang burst out laughing. Back in the present, morning had come. Lee tried calling Kang again. No answer. Tears welled in his eyes as he pulled out the same lighter from his pocket. Meanwhile, the soldiers were watching the news. The zombie virus attacked the brain, turning people into the undead within minutes. The government had declared a lockdown. "Wait a minute," one soldier said. "That guy who got bitten, he drank something. He turned slower than the others." Before anyone could respond, a gunshot rang out. Their senior officer had shot himself, realizing he was infected. Meanwhile, Kang's group had spent the whole night drinking. Now, sobering up, Kang said, "We're going to the hotel." "Why?" a boy asked. Young grinned. "Because Lee's boyfriend is there and my car is there. Sounds like a plan." Drunk but determined, Kang and Young grabbed golf sticks and stepped out, ready to face the undead. As soon as the guy stepped inside after torching the zombies outside, Kang looked at him with admiration and asked if he could do that again. Honestly, it was kind of cool. But instead of him going back out, a group of basketball players emerged to take on the zombies themselves. Cut to another scene. This time, we see the soldiers. Lee and his friend had only one thing on their minds: getting out and rescuing their families. They approached their senior with a plan. They pointed out that while the electricity had gone out the previous night, water was still flowing through the pipes, which meant the hotel's generators were still operational. Someone was using their resources. If they ran out, then what? They suggested shutting the generators down. Before the sergeant could decide, his phone rang. It was the battalion commander. And he had good news. A helicopter would be arriving soon with food and supplies. The soldiers cheered, but Lee and his friend were far from happy. Their escape plan just got complicated. With their priorities shifted, everyone moved to the helipad, eagerly waiting for the helicopter. But as soon as it approached, something was off. The chopper wobbled violently in the air, almost like something or someone was disrupting the pilot's control. The soldiers immediately suspected the worst. Zombies might be inside. The commander didn't hesitate. He ordered them to shoot the helicopter down before it could land. And with a well-aimed shot from the cannon, the helicopter exploded mid-air, spiraling down in flames. From afar, Kang and her companions witnessed the fiery crash. Without wasting a second, the four of them sprinted toward the wreckage. Meanwhile, back at the soldiers' base, the sergeant was fuming. The destruction of the helicopter meant their supplies were gone. He confronted the commander, insisting that staying in the building without food or water was a death sentence. But the commander was stubborn. He refused to let anyone leave, promising he'd figure something out. The sergeant had no choice but to comply, at least officially. In reality, he had a different plan. That evening, the sergeant gathered his men and made a bold announcement. They weren't waiting around to starve. They were leaving the building tonight. One of the soldiers pointed out that if they waited until supplies ran out, they'd be too weak to fight. It was now or never. In the middle of this discussion, Sujon, a civilian among them, made yet another plea for a gun. The sergeant shut him down immediately. "I've told you before, we can't give weapons to civilians." Tough luck, Sujon. Meanwhile, Kang and her group finally reached a massive building, but the sight before them shattered her. The place was swarming with zombies. Tears streamed down Kang's face as she feared the worst. Had the zombies already claimed the people inside? Seeing her break down, Young tried to reassure her. "Lee will call you, I know he will. Let's wait somewhere safe." With that, they made their way to the parking lot. Once inside, Young suggested they split up to look for his car. He gave everyone his car number, and they fanned out. But of course, things went south quickly. Zombies appeared out of nowhere. Kai and the manager ducked for cover while Young wasn't so lucky. He got ambushed. The gang wanted to rush in and save him, but the manager dragged her away, holding her back. Meanwhile, Kim, the new guy, tried to help Young, but things took an explosive turn. Literally. A fire broke out, wiping out the zombies in the process. Back at the soldiers' side, another plan was unfolding. The sergeant and his men were mapping out their escape. Step 1, get to the VIP lounge. Step 2, take the elevator down. Seemed simple enough. But as they moved out, they found the stairwell drenched in blood. Worse, more zombies lunged at them. Guns blazing, they fought their way through, mowing down the undead and pushing forward. After a hard battle, they finally made it to the VIP lounge. Elsewhere, Kang was still in distress over Young. Kim and Tang were with her, but the manager seemed unfazed. This irked Kim, and he let the manager have it. But arguing wouldn't help their situation. They needed a way out. The manager had an idea. Kim should go retrieve Young's car. Only problem? Kim didn't know how to drive. Not exactly helpful. Still, Kang saw an opportunity. Since the zombies weren't attacking Kim for some reason, he could slip past them undetected. "Take my phone number," Kang instructed. "I'll guide you while you drive." With no better option, Kim agreed and set off. True to Kang's words, the zombies ignored him completely. He reached the car without issue and hopped inside. As he settled in, Kim called Kang for instructions. Meanwhile, the manager and Kang were in a tight spot. Unlike Kim, zombies were definitely interested in them. Their loud voices only attracted more undead. Kim, somehow still unnoticed by the zombies, finally started the car. He pressed the accelerator, mowing down anything in his path, and reached the parking lot exit. Kang and the manager wasted no time jumping in, and the manager took over driving. As they sped off, the real horror kicked in. Kim, sitting in the back seat, started showing signs of infection. His eyes turned red. He was turning. Before things could escalate, Kim made a decision. He stepped out of the moving car, leaving his fate to the streets. Back at the hotel, the soldiers were dealing with their own nightmare. The sergeant had captured a chef who, by sheer luck, hadn't turned into a zombie. Apparently, he had been knocked out from sleeping pills. With no other options, they had him cook for them. But just as they sat down to eat, an eerie rattling sound came from behind them. They turned to see a zombie bursting out from an air vent, launching itself at them. Meanwhile, Kang's group was still trying to process Kim's departure. Kang pleaded with him to stay and come with them to a hospital, but Kim refused. "I have things to do," he said. The manager, understanding what was about to happen, pulled Kang back. They watched as Kim's transformation completed. He was now one of them. With heavy hearts, the group drove away, leaving Kim behind. A haunting image filled the screen, a pair of glowing red eyes, a mystery. And just like that, the season ended, leaving us with one burning question. How much worse can things get? And more importantly, will anyone make it out alive?